a friend, a mentor, and a spiritual guide through my journey for the past almost 15 years or so. So it's an honor, pleasure, and blessing to be here today speaking about this wonderful, amazing book, Hollywood to the Himalayas. I read this book before it was published, and I spent 2 nights staying up reading this book entirely, sleepless nights. And this is not Netflix, this is a book. And that's what it did to me. I would say this is a combination of Eat, Pray, Love, and the 7 Laws of Spiritual Success, because it reads like a novel, because it's Sadhviji's journey of how she came to India, but it also has such amazing nuggets of spiritual wisdom that are so applicable, especially to a woman's life. As Sadhviji grapples with her marriage, as she grapples with her parents, as she grapples with her body, this is such a true and honest book, and it's incredible. And I was really, really, really struck at how true and honest you were. And Sadhviji, how did you think of writing this book, and did you not feel as if being so true about things like marriage, celibacy, eating disorders, and putting it all out there wouldn't somehow maybe affect a reader's mind, because you're such a revered spiritual leader amongst millions?
Ira, it's interesting because the story is so deep and so full. And I've got very, very profound and unshakable faith in God. And I feel like if God had wanted me to be one of those leaders who basically comes out of the womb enlightened, or who, from early childhood knew that this was the path and wasn't interested in boys or school or games and just wanted to meditate, well, then God would have made me like that. But instead, if God gave me the life experiences that I've had from growing up quite literally in Hollywood, in that world, all of the privilege, the opportunity, but also all of the suffering and conflict and difficulties that I personally went through between experiences of abuse, experiences of abandonment, and then the ramifications into a severe eating disorder, that if God had not wanted me to fully embody that, He wouldn't have given me that. We've got so many spiritual leaders who are, essentially came out of the womb like this, and they're awe-inspiring and beautiful. But I think that I've been given my experiences for a very specific reason, which is when we read or hear about the life of these enlightened masters, they're mostly men who really have never struggled with personal suffering, with addiction, with depression, with desire, with fear, with that pervasive sense of not enoughness, with any of that affects so many people. And so when we read or hear those stories, they are awe-inspiring. We want to bow down at the feet of those leaders. But they don't necessarily inspire us to say, I can do it. If you did it, I can do it. Whereas for my story, my big motivation in writing the book was, I want people to know they can do it. Whatever you've been through, whatever you've experienced, whatever you're currently experiencing, grace is available for you. Freedom is available for you. Healing, transformation is available for you. That's why the subtitle of the book is A Journey of Healing and Transformation. Now, the story, of course, is my journey of healing and transformation. But as you said so beautifully, the lessons that I learned coming as a 25-year-old with a backpack to India, thinking I was coming just because my husband wanted to visit India and because I was a very strict vegetarian and loved Indian food, to actually having a spiritual awakening on the banks of Ganga. That all of that had to be part of this divine plan, which means that this platform, this respect, this reverence that you've mentioned, that by God's grace has been showered upon me, I feel really committed to using that in truth and to helping people understand that wherever you are, physically, wherever you're living, whatever your physical life's journey may be, and whatever you're going through, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, freedom is possible. Joy is possible. Healing is possible. And that's the story that I have. And so that's really what inspired me to be so honest about it. You know, I realize, Ira, when I look back on my life, I come from Hollywood. I've got a degree from Stanford University. I've got a PhD in psychology. If what I wanted was to live a life that was about my ego and my role, well, why in the world would God have pulled me out of Hollywood, out of the world of prestigious academia, and brought me to the banks of Ganga to do sadhana? This has never been for me about my platform, my role, my ego, my reputation. It's always been about how can I, in this new beautiful life that I was given 26 years ago, how can I be a vehicle, an instrument, a tool of service for others? And so whether it's the schools and the women's programs, the environmental work, or whether it's on a spiritual level, of really helping people understand that spirituality and humanity are not separate. They go together. No matter how mired in your humanity you may be, spirituality is there for you. And you just have to accept that beautiful invitation that the universe is offering.
Beautiful. And so, Sadhviji mentioned a little bit about her background. I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper. So, as she mentioned, she was in California, literally in Hollywood. Her stepfather, because she had been abandoned by her biological father, Manny, at a very young age, and her beautiful mother, who is now here in Rishikesh with her. Sadhviji has brought her here. We are here in Rishikesh together. This was her background, and then she grew up, in a privileged Jewish family. Her father was a leading divorce lawyer, so you can imagine the kind of booming business that was. She went to a school with children of actors and actresses, and then went on to study at Stanford. And she married a super smart man named Jim, as she has mentioned in her book. And
that's actually a made-up name.
Okay, that's a made-up name.
That's one of those names have been changed. Yes.
That's good, but I actually didn't know so many of these things about Sadhviji's life, so I was riveted to this book. And again, such brutal honesty, and I don't think I could have been so brutally honest about my life. I must say that. And so she had a seemingly perfect life. She had a successful, smart husband who was on a spiritual journey. He was working in the Peace Corps. He was, really it seemed like you were on this aligned path. You had this life in California together where you would, was he vegetarian?
Yes, he did. I made him become a vegetarian.
Because Sadhviji,
not by force, just by opening him up to the
vegetarian food.
the impact that non-vegetarian food has on the planet, and so he became vegetarian.
And so this was her background, a seemingly perfect life, right? You have a degree from Stanford, and you were around 25 at that time, so really at this cusp where you studied, you're married, you're settled, as we say here in India, and you're ready to take on the world. And at that exact moment in time, Jim, her husband at that time, he is the one who says, let's go to India, and Sadhviji is not so sure. And she says, India, and she's remembering her time where she had actually been, so she has always had a life of service. I feel that in your background, there's been an inclination towards, this has always been there. And then it was on Jim's desire that they came to India, and this is where Sadhviji came to Rishikesh, to the Parmarth Niketan ashram, and met Swamiji. And this is her background, of leaving all of that. And I would like to talk to you now about that transition, that you came into an ashram, because right now I'm here in Rishikesh with a group of yogis, and many of them who come from cities are unable to adjust to the ashram. They have to move to hotels.
Oh.
And here in your book, you are not wanting to stay in the hotel and wanting to stay in the ashram. And Jim is saying that if you don't come back to the hotel with me, then I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. So this is now what's going on here. So I would like to just talk to you about how you were able to, what was that change? Because here right now, we are unable to even manage between hotels and ashrams. And here you are coming from America to Rishikesh in the 90s, when the ashram was probably very, very basic compared to what it is now. No air conditioners, no hot water, very simple food, no internet, none of that.
Nothing at that time.
I would love to talk about what was that moment like and what happened.
Sure. I was never someone who abstained by choice. It never occurred to me in my life that abstinence from anything was a virtue or value. I grew up in Los Angeles, and there's an abundance of everything. When I came here, it wasn't actually a matter for me of leaving things behind. If you had said to me before I came to India, okay, so you're going to go to India and you're going to learn to live without all of the following things, from, sex to a big mattress to a good cup of coffee to a bagel to everything, an avocado, anything on that spectrum, you are going to learn to live without that, without air conditioning, without any of these comforts. Now, of course, we have all of that, but at that time, none of it. I would have said, no way. I would have said, first of all, why? And then, no way. But what happened was, when I came, my heart was so full, so filled to overflowing with the experience of grace. I mean, I came and stood the same day we arrived. We put down our bags in the hotel, because originally we were staying in a hotel. And I went and stood on the banks of Ganga, thinking I was just going to put my feet in the water and freshen up. But instead, I had this incredibly powerful experience of divine connection, of being one with the divine. And I was never even religious. But there it was, just spontaneously, this opening, this awakening, this cracked open heart. And when that happened, my whole life changed. And then when I met Puja Swamiji and had darshan of this amazing saint and was welcomed into this ashram, for me, it was a matter of gaining, not leaving behind. Everything felt like such an incredible blessing that I never even noticed things that weren't here. It feels like God came through me with one of those like dust busters or, vacuum cleaners with the really long attachments that get into little nooks and crannies, and literally vacuumed out of me desire for anything that I was no longer gonna get in this life. And that became very easy for me. I think the dilemma that people face is when our hearts aren't full, well, then naturally we need all of the comforts and convenience and luxury around us. When our hearts aren't full, well, then I need something to fill me. I need material possessions. I need prestige. I need acclaim. I need money. I need comfort. I need entertainment. I need lavish food because I'm feeling empty inside. And so I need something from outside to make me feel full. But for me, I was gifted this experience of fullness. And that's what spirituality gives us, is that experience of being so full inside that you're no longer a beggar for a 12-inch mattress or a 12-course meal or a TV and minibar, which really are the only things that our rooms don't have. I mean, they're really nice now.
Yes.
We just, no TVs, no minibars. And now we've got air conditioning. I mean, so all of the comforts have come in slowly as the world has changed. Mm-hmm. But for me, not having them was actually so beautiful because it kept pushing me back into my heart,
I have a question right here. Two questions, actually.
Yes.
One is that people, when they're on spiritual journeys, they're always searching. They're always wandering.
Yes.
I had a conversation with someone yesterday saying that I meet yoga teachers and they always seem to be going here and going there and traveling here. They don't seem to really be in one place. That's the conversation I had. I said, why is it so? And my answer was that the internal search leads to that manifestation of the desire to move and the desire to travel and desire to seek.
Yes.
So the inner journey is being manifested as that. But did you have that? Like when you came here and you found this, then was there curiosity that, oh, I should go here and I should go there. I should meet that guru. I should meet that saint.
No.
That's sort of the norm that you want to go to Rishikesh. You want to go to, you want to go to Kerala. You want to go to Mysore. You want to go to different places and meet different saints and gurus that you've read about. So did that happen to you?
No, I was actually the exact opposite. So first of all, before I came here, though, I was an avid traveler. I was not in search of a guru because, as I said, I was not religious. I was not even one of those who say, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. I had probably never even heard the word guru before. I certainly wasn't looking for one. But I loved to travel. I loved going all over the place. I was definitely an avid traveler. But what happened when I came here was everything I had been looking for in my life, peace, joy, meaning, fulfillment, healing, a sense of really belonging, a sense of actually loving myself, a sense of freedom from that which was causing me to suffer, from my pain, from my anger, from my grudges, from my identification as the one who had been abused, the one who had been abandoned. That when I came and was gifted with this powerful experience of awakening and then the presence of a guru, I was done. I had no interest in going anywhere. I mean, I still love nature. I love seeing beautiful places. I was in Iceland this summer. But in terms of the seeking for an inner longing, an inner search that's manifesting in a physical, external exploration, I didn't have any of that because there was no longer a sense of I need to search. It was so clear to me that this was home, that this was the place. I mean, I looked around me at all of the people who lived so far below Western standards of poverty, but they were so much happier than anyone I had grown up with.
And I want to remind everyone that this is the 90s in Rishikesh. And at that point in time, and this was, very, very basic, and the reason why Jim didn't want to stay in the ashram because he said, I'm not a horse, I don't want to eat out of a bucket.
Right.
And I can't stay in that room, and I this is not what I want. And here is Sadhviji feeling, that her heart is so full. Now, I want to ask you the second question that I had was that for seekers who are trying to find that. Now, you were blessed by grace to find that awakening when you came here. And also, Sadhviji came with eating disorders. And there is some beautiful chapters here talking about how she let go. How really what no medicines could do was washed away by the grace of Mother Ganga. Really was just washed away this forgiveness towards her biological father and a lot of the trauma that she has gone through in childhood. So Sadhviji didn't come here being absolutely perfect, even though on paper her life
not even close.
Even though on paper the life seemed perfect, right? She had this wonderful life as a new Stanford graduate with a wonderful husband and a house in the suburbs of America. And here she comes to Rishikesh and she finds that her heart is full. Now, for people who are looking for that fullness of heart and who are searching for it, and it's been years and years and years and so many travels, and they haven't managed to find a guru or a teacher, an awakening, and it can be frustrating, it can be so tough. What is your advice?
Beautiful. So, what I found was that actually it was my own attachment to the anger, to the pain, to the addiction, to the identification as the victim of this and the one with the eating disorder, and that those attachments actually kept the fullness from entering my life. That it wasn't a matter of bringing it from outside. It was a matter of letting go that within me that was blocking me from actually experiencing that. So the powerful ceremony that Puja Swamiji put me through was not, you sit here, I'm going to wave a magic wand and call upon all of the beings of grace to come and bless you. It was, you stand in Ganga and let go of your anger. You let go of your pain. You let go of the grudges. You stand there until you can see his face and forgive him. And in that letting go, and especially in the letting go of me as the one to whom this had happened, that was then when these floodgates, you could say, of grace just opened in such a way. Yes?
Was the Ganga freezing cold?
No, Ganga was not freezing cold at all, actually. Not
because
freezing
that's
cold.
also difficult.
Yes, no, Ganga was not. It was in September. So it was, Ganga's always a little cold and beautiful. But the power for me came in letting go. And it took teachings because we don't forgive normally. Because we think, well, if I forgive, then somehow that means that what this person did is okay. That somehow if I forgive, it's absolving them of their karmic fruits. we somehow have this mistake that we are, God's secretary, and that we have to be the ones who keep a list and keep track of who did what and who's owed what. And that if I forgive, then maybe the universe won't give that person what they deserve. And that's all completely false. Karma is a law of nature. Does not require us to stand there making sure that someone gets their karmic due, any more than you would need to stand over a peach seed going, peaches, peaches, peaches. Like the thing knows when it grows, it's going to give you peaches. It's a peach seed. In the same way, karma is a law of nature. Like peach seeds becoming peach trees, not becoming apple trees. So we don't have to be the karmic police holding on to things in order to make sure that people get karmic dues. Forgiveness does not mean that what someone did is okay. Forgiveness simply means I deserve to be free. And that was what I was taught so powerfully was, you don't forgive because what he did was okay. You forgive because you deserve freedom. Whatever someone has done to you, you deserve freedom. And so in letting go of that and letting go of the identity, I remember Puja Swamiji held up a pen and he says to me, "You're not this pen." And I laughed. I was a PhD student, of course. I knew I wasn't a pen. And he said, "You laugh because you know you're not a pen, but you still think you are that body. You think you are its history. You think you are its story, its emotions." He said, "There will come a day when you realize that you are not the body, not the history, not the emotions, any more than you are this pen in my hand." And in letting go of that identification as the one, because we carry these. I'm the one who's been cheated. I'm the one who's been betrayed. I'm the one who's been lied to. I'm the one who gets the short end of the stick. That's why I am miserable, depressed, an addict. In letting go of that identification, then I was able to really allow the flow of grace. In letting go of that identification as the one who was harmed, the one who was injured, the one who struggled, the one who was bulimic, in letting go of those identities, that's when grace really was able to flow. And so what I would say to everyone is, instead of looking for what you don't have, what you think you need, which place or teacher or program is going to give you that which you're looking for, ask yourself instead, what is it that I'm holding on to that's keeping me stuck? What am I holding on to that's defining me as a victim of something, as someone who's not enough in some other ways, as my past, as my history? What is it that's defining me? And how can I let go of the anger, of pain, of grudges, of false identities? And when we can do that, then we're able to experience the flow of grace. And in terms of the guru, keep your heart open. Don't guru shop. A lot of us have a list. It's like, these marriage apps. I want someone who should look like this, be like this. Well, if you're going to go in search of a guru, the way that you're going to go in search of a prospective husband or wife, you'll never find it. Instead, keep your heart open. Keep yourself very humble to the messages of the universe. to the energetic flow of the universe. And that guru will appear. Maybe not in the form you thought, but the guru will appear.
Now, this is my final question, and from my perspective, especially for me and for other women like me, the most important, a major tenet of the spiritual life, and even if you're not on the life of a sannyasi, for women to manage a spiritual journey can be tough. Even to come to a yoga retreat, you have to leave behind your kids, your in-laws, your husbands. When you take out time for your own self-practice, your own sadhana, it can often be regarded as selfish by the world, because this is purely for yourself. You're not doing anything which is for anyone else, for yourself. So this pursuit is even thought of by ourselves as, hey, am I being selfish by taking out this time for my personal sadhana? And then to imagine leaving your husband, leaving behind everything that comes with a marriage, whether it's sexuality, whether it's desire, all of that, to pursue this life and to really pursue a life of austerity. It's almost unimaginable in in the culture that I come from, to do all of that, to say that I'm going to do this and I'm going to stay in an ashram and I'm going to sacrifice my marriage for this, and I'm going to choose myself and my spiritual journey. How did that happen? How did you muster up the courage, the power, the energy? I would love to hear about that, and also advice to other women out there who are yoga teachers, spiritual teachers, or simply are in search of self-improvement.
Beautiful. So first of all, I didn't actually leave Jim. When I had this experience, I actually thought, he's going to be so happy. I found the ashram, I found the guru for him. He had his own issues that he was working through, and those prevented him from embracing that which I had found. He had a different dharma. He had a different life path. And so he was actually the one who said, if you're going to be here and walk this path, our marriage is over. But I was prepared to let it go. And this is where I think it's really important to look at the idea of selfishness. Because when we talk about being selfless or compassionate or in service, well, why is it that we leave our own selves out of that? When you say, I'm going to be in service of the world, loving kindness and compassion for all, well, why do you leave yourself out of that? And as a sannyasi, as a spiritual renunciant, we are taught and primed and guided to be in service of all. But that includes yourself. It's not the world minus you. So when women are raised and molded and taught to be caring and giving and compassionate and in service, that's beautiful. But it's not minus you. There's no teaching or world or mantra in which it says, serve the world, except yourself. Have compassion for all, except yourself. Love all, except yourself. You are also in that all. And so we have to remember to include ourselves. We also have to remember that no one arrived on planet Earth with, the best cooker or the best dishwasher or the best this stamped on their rear ends as this is your dharma. These are things we do, roles we play. It's beautiful. Preparing food is a beautiful art. It's a gift. It's puja. Keeping a clean house, taking care of a family is yoga. It's not separate from yoga. It is yoga. And we also have an internal responsibility to our own dharma that is separate from our relationships. Our dharma is not only our relationships. Yeah, we have some of that. We've got the dharma of being a daughter to our parents, or a wife to a husband, or a mother to children. But we also have our dharma of the unfolding of our own capital S self, our own true self, higher self, divine self. That's the capital D dharma that we all have here on planet Earth, is to actually unfold the truth of ourselves, to experience that, to know that. And that's a duty we have to our capital S self. So you must make time for it. You must not be apologetic about it. The truth is, you're going to be a much better mother, wife, daughter-in-law when you are grounded and anchored, centered, connected, aware. That's when your heart is open and able to actually flow for others. If your heart is closed because you're upset and resentful and bitter, and you're not actually stepping up to the plate of your life, what are you going to give others?
I love that. I love that. And I think that this is such an important message for all women and even men out there, that when you take care of yourselves and when your heart is full, that's only when you can take care of others and fill others' heart. And isn't that the most important role that we have here on planet Earth?
Absolutely.
Fill everyone's heart with joy. Sadhviji, thank you so much for giving us your time. Again, it is my honor and my blessing and my privilege to be here in conversation with you, to spend time with you, and to have read this incredible book. I really, really encourage all of you to read it, because this reads like a novel, but it's got such gems of wisdom. It is brutally honest, and it is also full of hope. More than anything else, it is a book which is full of hope, which is what is needed in this day and age more than anything else. On that note, Jai Ganga.
Jai Ganga.
Jai Shri
Love you.
Krishna.
Jai Shri
Here
Krishna.
from Rishikesh, the banks of Ma Ganga, which is where Sadhviji found grace. Thank